Welcome to this conversation with the Morning Tea Marketing Missus, whereas our purpose is to offer valuable tips to small business owners and sole traders, not just only to improve their online presence and be able to communicate more effectively so they reach a larger audience, but also life skills. And what we're going to be talking about this month is very much fits in with that theme. The hosts, as usual, are the fabulous lineup of Narelle Gaddy. Narelle is the accessibility author. There's myself, Janeen Vosper, and I help people step up to stand out in their own personal brand. We have Lara Arden, who is our awesome business awards coach, and Jan Roach, businesses, Biz Connect Web Design, and over 50s health. We haven't sort of caught up for a little while, ladies. It's really, really nice to catch up with everybody here.
It is
Hasn't it been a
indeed.
busy month?
It has crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of that sort of energy going on, isn't there? I don't know about everybody else. It just seems intense.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
the
that,
Paralympics finished this morning, last night.
Yeah, last
So
night.
yeah, I mean, even that in and of itself, and the amount of information we've received about the Olympics and the Paralympics has been fantastic.
it's been brilliant, and that actually leads really, really well into what I want to talk about today, and what motivates you to achieve. I mean, that's a great example with Olympics and Paralympics, or anyone, athletes or anyone in a particular role that goes that extra mile beyond what we could possibly imagine, the amount of effort it takes to achieve the results they do, especially in Paralympics, where they're usually dealing with some major disability as well, and then to be able to get the results that they do, it's quite a it's quite phenomenal. I'm in awe, and I've been in tears
Mm.
listening to some of the stories and just what they've managed to do. And I can imagine there'd be a lot of dark moments, but there's incredible amount of positivity. And then to get to that elite level of athlete it just blows me away. I know I'm very motivated in what I do, but there's no way that I could possibly uh, do that on that sort of daily basis, year in, year out, to achieve those results. It's
Phenomenal.
quite phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it
And
is. It's
that's what
unbelievable.
that's what I want to talk about, is what motivates you to
Mm.
do what you do. And I know when I do goal setting workshop, very different than anyone else that talks about your mission and vision, but it's more about what motivates you, what inspires you to get up every single day and put the work in. And we have filters, and I know we were talking about this a little bit before we came on, and those filters aren't just something that you as an adult can necessarily go, well, I'll change. Often they come from the prescription of childhood that your parents have brought through, schools, anything that you've learnt, any behaviors, especially as a younger person, it tends to really stick with you as you move into adulthood. And if you want to change them, you actually have to really consciously do it. It's
Mm.
something that you have to take those steps. And also, depending on your beliefs, it could be a past life thing as well. But let's not go there. But it's filters, and in my book Good Girls Do Sell, I ask the question about what personal filters you might have that you, one, compare with somebody else that you admire in business, and maybe how they're doing things. So one is identifying your personal filters, and then identifying what might be the filters of somebody that you admire. So, and for those listening, if you've got an opportunity to take notes, and this is probably more so for one of the note taking than we've done in the past, but so what is your motivation filter? I mean, what is it that absolutely motivates you to take action? And I was asked that the other day by a client, and it was really interesting because I sat there for a moment, and for me, there's a couple of things. I like to tick off a list. That's the choleric in me comes out, and we tick off a list. But I also motivate me to help people to achieve the results that they want to achieve. That's what does it, but it's also creates a better way of life for my family. The more successful I am, the more I can support my family. So what actually motivates you, and how that might compare with someone that you admire or see that they're successful in the way that you recognize success? And that's the next second one, is what is your success indication filter? So how do you know that you're successful?
Oh,
I don't think a lot of people
good question.
ever get asked that, do they?
Yeah. I think I think I've got a hint of an answer as to what it might be.
Mhm.
I recently sat through a 3-day live Zoom event. It's called an accelerator, and it gave me the opportunity as a business owner to start the beginning of the financial quarter, and then just have a look at the last 90 days, the last quarter, to see how have I done, what would I want to do differently, and thinking about what I did well and what I'd like to do differently. How would I like to imagine the next 90 days, the next financial quarter? And during the exercise of revision and then imagination, we also looked at, well, what are the strengths that helped us get through the last 90 days, which would be the motivation, the things that are, wiring us to drive. And then what are the things that would help us get through the next 90 days that are, let's say, qualities in others that we really admire and respect, that might help pull us forward to where we want to go. And perhaps, when we liken ourselves to what others are achieving, and we think, oh, I'd love to be a little bit more like that ourselves, that a measure of success, an indicator, could be that, well, for the next 90 days, by the time I get to that and then review the last 90 days, am I more whatever that particular quality is that you chose than you were before? So as an example, for myself, in the last 90 days, I found that I was able to achieve certain goals very well, and others that I didn't achieve so well. And what I liked about the ones that I achieved well for my goals in the last 90 days is that I expressed in them calm and encouragement and forgiveness. So calmness was the way that I decided to conduct myself, so that I didn't allow myself to get hectic when things around me got hectic. And then encouraging is the trait that I use to help others achieve success, so that, and hopefully I was able to inspire them to remain calm in a state of, what the hell am I doing? I've never done a business awards nomination before. This is all new. To help them be able to make the journey smooth for them as well, but encouraging, such that, you've got this, and, cheerleading them. And then the other thing that I use to help me keep going, even though, I had a week that I needed to go off and visit my dad, who's now 93, who, it was the last time that I went to see him. So that was a little bit, interesting for me emotionally. So the other thing I used there as a trait was forgiveness, because I felt that it's life, things change and things don't always turn out the way that we'd like them to. And it's still okay. It's not the end of the world. We're still good in ourselves, and we keep going and do the best that we can, for ourselves and those around us. And so forgiveness played a part in me being able to come out of the last 90 days. And then looking forward, I thought, what's some qualities I like in others that would help me go forward with, with a greater sense of joy and happiness, so to help me get through the grief and like the last bit of sadness that it did impact me. And I thought of my favorite comedians. So people like Jim Carrey, Amy Schumer, a lady on a Netflix series called Maya Rudolph. And I just really enjoyed watching her show and other movies of those artists. And it's because of their expressiveness and the way that they're able to just exude joy and happiness in so many different ways. And I thought it'd be really nice to be able to see what that looks like. And so I thought, okay, as a measure of success for the next 90 days, just on this one particular trait, I'm going to get to the end of, we've got September, October, November. So in December, I'll be having a look at how many more captures do I have where I've recorded a moment of expression that was something more fun or just emotional, that was just a little bit more uplifting, that kind of a thing.
I love Lara, that your measures of those successes are intangible items.
Yeah.
So and that's a really important factor for people when you're figuring out how you measure success. I mean, it's always nice to measure it in the bank balance, but it is recognizing that there's other components that are important, that you measure success by your responses to things in the world.
Yeah, our responses to things. That's it. Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. What about you, Jan?
Yeah, I was at the gym earlier and I was talking with a man, and he was talking about this guy he knows, they play golf together and whatever, and he was saying how and it's a client of his, and he was saying how he said, oh, it's probably postnatal depression or something. And I thought, oh, okay, all right. And so I just listened, and he said, oh, she called the cops and he had to leave, and all this kind of stuff. And he was kind of, I get it, he's a man, he's taking the man's side and story, whereas my approach is being calm and listening and getting what I need to get from what his emotional spit out was, to filtering through all of that to get to something that is rational and calm, and an answer that will calm someone, whoever I'm talking to, down, and help them to see that there is another possible way of looking at it. There was something a few years ago, there was a lady down here in the old Coles car park. And she had a bunch of kids with her, and it was a hot, yucky day, and she was yelling and screaming at these kids and trying to get them all into this minivan and whatever else. And there was all these people around judging, saying, oh, she's being abusive and blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, what's going on for her that is causing her to have this reaction? So out of all these people that were standing around judging, I went over to her and I said, honey, are you okay? Do you need a hug? And she just
broke down.
She lost it, right?
Yeah.
And from that, she was explaining that her daughter, ADHD, they'd been out for the day. She'd gotten everything she wanted, ice creams, lollies, playing, all this kind of stuff, yet she was really unappreciative, and she wouldn't listen to her mum. And her mum's pregnant with this big belly and all these other kids as well to look after. And she said, my husband lets these kids get away with everything, and so I can't control them because they just do whatever they like. So I helped her to calmly rationalize that, yes, they are children, but her reaction is going to firstly upset that baby in her belly, and it's not going to make the situation any better, and that she just needs to take a breath and think about how she's going to deal with the situation. And so I just had a word to the little girl who was about 8, and I said, have you had a really good day today? You've had a great day with mummy. You've had all these great things. So why is it that you are not listening to mum, not getting into the car? You're packing up. You've got to go home now. What is it that you can do to help everybody be happy and safe and okay? And she really settled down and started listening to her mum, just because there was a calming influence around her. And I just thought, if more people actually listened to what was going on instead of judging and carrying on and making matters worse, then, things would be so much better. But yeah, that's what you said before.
That's sort of the success for you, Jan, as well as the success for the woman. And how could you measure that? And again, they're intangible, they're not quantifiable, but they're quite tangible, actually.
Yeah. And so that when you said before about how we react, and there was a whole bunch of people who could have chosen to react a different way, but instead they were judgmental, which didn't help one little bit. So I'm hoping that made that woman's day a hell of a lot better than what it was, because it really looked pretty bad. It sounded pretty bad. So, I think by the time, they all got in the car and left to go home, everybody was a lot more calmer. But yeah, I mean, look, you got to listen. You got to be there, and instead of making judgments, like so many people listen to answer rather than listen to understand.
Yeah.
We have a natural bias, and our opinions sort of come out very easily and quickly in that bias, whether we verbalize them or we think them. But that's that natural bias, and that's what is that right from an early age. It comes through, and it's very much learnt behaviours. Is there anything, Jan, that you're thinking about success, that how you measure success for you?
For me,
sorry, Jan, I meant to say Narelle.
Narelle, okay, yeah, go.
Really, I'm coming from a different perspective. My success is seeing my sons living happy lives. It's my kids. And obviously I'm like every mum. I adore the hell out of my kids. Do I like all their actions? No.
Probably not.
Do I like all their behaviours? Definitely not. But, I look at my 3 sons and they're all happy. They are all very loyal to their family, which I value loyalty. I value the way they interact with my mum and my sister and my nieces and nephews and extended family. But more to the point, I value the people that they've become. One's working in aged care in an area that I would never have dreamt he would have done. And he goes, oh, yeah, Mum, because he's a head chef. And he goes, oh, yeah, and I'm doing this, and I've got to think about this now. This old lady here, she likes da-da-da, and that's really important, Mum. And to me, that's tick of success. And my middle son, and he'll say, oh, Mum, doing this, and I'm doing this, and, oh, look, Mum, I'm doing this. I'm going to go and do that youth group again this year, that youth camp. So he gives up part of his holidays to go and help kids. That's my tick of success. My oldest son, it's his mates, and he'll say, oh, yeah, Mum, I hate gardening. Yeah, I know you hate gardening. I did a day last week, and I'm doing a day this week because my mate needs me, Mum. I hate it, but I'm still going to do it. And that to me is success. It's seeing my kids value other people in society. So it's not about just them. They're looking outside their own circle and their own importance to see that there are other people that need help. They don't look at anyone with a disability as being different. It's just who they are. They've got a cousin that's got a number of disabilities, and they will fight like cat and dog. But I've seen them stand around her wheelchair and say, take us on. And her 2 sisters. So this poor girl's sitting in the middle with 3 big blokes and these 2 girls saying, go on, take us on. That's our cousin. That's our sister. And that to me is success, loyalty, valuing family, valuing friendship, and valuing society, and wanting to help others. That to me is success.
That's and I think we'd all have a lot of similar things when we come to measure our values and how we would think about success. And within that framework of not just having to think it's a bottom line all the time, that if you've got up and gone for a walk in the morning when you really don't feel like doing it, but you know that it's good for your body, and that's success. There's so many things that people don't recognize that they're doing on a daily basis that is a measure of success. They might be small little increments. I was thinking about it this morning. I have been walking regularly, probably not quite daily, but just about daily since I was 24. Now, I've always played sport, but after I had my first son, I started pushing the pram. And I'm thinking, okay, in those 41 years, and I had 365 days, at least 6Ks a day, I thought I must measure out and see whether I've walked to the moon and back or but it's small stuff. It's recognizing the stuff that we don't often think about as a sense of success, and people often just looking at their failures rather than things that don't work out, rather than just that, you know what, I got up at 5 o'clock and I got that done, and I moved the body, or I got the paperwork done, or I emptied my email box, or whatever it was. There's those small increments, or as you said, Narelle, raised contributing adults. You've helped people out and the calmness and whatever it is. I just absolutely love it. So that's probably what I want to finish on that note for this conversation is how you might be measuring success in your life and recognizing those small things that you may not have seen in the past, but to identify them and give yourself a little pat on the back when you do.
Yeah. Perfect, Janeen. I think you got
I
it perfect.
love Napoleon Hill's definition of success.
Mhm.
And he says success is the attainment of your definite chief aim without violating the rights of other people.
Yeah.
So it could be working in a supermarket as a checkout chick. If that is if that's achieving the goal of whatever what their goals may be, provides the income that, gets them to where they want to be, then that is success. Like Janine, you were talking about the bank balance. Yeah, great. If you've got a big bank balance, it gives you more stuff you can do or whatever. But if somebody is achieving, they're working, they're providing for their family, and that is very high on their priority list, then fantastic.
And I know I'd like to add to that too, Jan, is then because that's my first job I had at 15 to 17 is working in a checkout chick, is to love every moment of it. And then how can you enjoy the day and enjoy serving people, because that's the role you're in at that time. That could be another whole conversation about enjoying what you're doing and recognizing those moments. But I thank you very much for your contributions, and I thank everybody for listening. And remember to find this on YouTube. You'll see it right across social media. Check out all of the other conversations that we've had for the last 18 months. We would love for you to subscribe and leave a message and note just to say what there was in that conversation that you've enjoyed and learned. Have a great day. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.